Namaskar. The other day we discussed certain issues relating to salary. Today we would discuss the perquisites and its inclusion in the salary. As we have discussed, salary is an inclusive definition. It includes perquisites. Perquisites again are inclusive. What has been given in the section 17.2 dealing with perquisites, it gives you instances of perquisites which we will discuss. Now those are not the only perquisites chargeable to tax. These are instances, as you would see. First is rent-free accommodation provided by the employer. You are working for a company, your company tells you your salary is rupees 50,000, we will give you a house, a stay in a house for which you don't pay rent, or if you have to pay rent, you will pay concessional rent. So that is, the rent is paid by the company fully and you are allowed to stay. Full rent paid by the company. In another case, the company tells you, okay, you pay part of the rent, we will pay the balance. In both cases, there is perquisite, which is to be included in salary and brought to tax in your hands when you receive that perquisite. Valuation of perquisite is governed by Rule 3, which again is not a part of your syllabus. So you will be told house rent, free accommodation, perquisite value this much. So include that in the salary income. Next part is value of concession in rent, which we have discussed. 50,000 is the rent. The company tells you pay 20,000, we will pay 30. So 30 will be the perquisite component. Based on that, income will be added to your salary. Value of any benefit or amenity granted free of cost or at a concessional rate. Certain facilities may be given to you free of cost or at a concessional rate. So whenever a facility or a benefit in kind, as I have discussed earlier, perquisite is a benefit or a facility in kind. Allowances are distinguishable from perquisites. They are different from perquisite, which I will discuss. For example, another instance of perquisite is you may be given free use of car. Personal use of car is what results into perquisite. If there is no personal use of car, family use of car allowed to you, if it is allowed only for official purposes, if the car is allowed only for official purposes, there is no question of perquisite. Perquisite results only when there is personal use. The company may say up to rupees 20,000 petrol for personal use, we will bear, balance you bear. So perquisite will be determined based on 20,000 rupees. Or the company may say use the car absolutely, we will provide for the fuel, we will provide for the driver's salary, we will provide for the car maintenance. That will be a perquisite, which will be, value will be determined in accordance with the rule. Employees, as we are aware, the next part, employees may have certain obligations. Now those obligations are to be met by the employee. The employee has to pay the amount. For example, you may take a life insurance policy. It is your responsibility to pay premium on that policy. Now the company may tell you, ठीक है, you don't pay premium, we will pay premium. 50,000 rupees is the premium on the policy, which is your liability, but which the company agrees to pay. That is again a component of perquisite, chargeable to tax in your hands, an obligation which was of the employee, if it is met by the employer, results into taxable perquisite in the hands of the employee. I was discussing with you allowances before I go to this very interesting case law, Rani Shankar Mishra, Delhi High Court. Allowances versus perquisites. Allowances also are chargeable to tax, perquisite also are chargeable to tax as salary. Let me discuss an instance of allowance. House rent allowance vis-a-vis rent-free accommodation. Rent-free accommodation is a perquisite. House rent allowance 50,000 rupees is an allowance given in cash. The company may tell you, we are giving you option. We are giving you two options. One, you take 50,000 rupees towards HRA, house rent, or we will give you a free house to stay. You decide. 50,000 rent, house rent, the company will pay you a check of 50. Now you see you take a house on rent yourself in your own name. Rent agreement will be in your name. Take a house on rent, pay the rent that is due, maybe 50 or maybe more. You pay the rent and then it will be included in the house rent allowance, will be included in the salary. Of course, section 1013A, which we have discussed earlier, will grant you deduction, will grant you exemption. So that will be given to you in the question. House rent allowance received 50, section 1013 capital A exemption 30. So 50 minus 30, 20 will be included in the income as salary. This is a case of house rent allowance. Let us compare this with rent-free accommodation. The company may say, okay, I am not giving you any additional house rent allowance. I am giving you a house to stay, you stay in the house. That again is a perquisite. Now, when to take a house rent allowance and when to take a perquisite rent-free accommodation are issues which will depend on the facts of the case. Your syllabus doesn't require you to undergo all those. You will be told house rent allowance this much, exemption this much, or you will be told rent-free accommodation towards house, value of perquisite rupees 50,000 for example. So you have only to include, but you should know tomorrow when you start working, these issues may come up. Your boss may tell you, ki, should I give you house rent allowance in cash or by check, or should I give you a rent-free accommodation? You decide and tell. So you should know the law. So of course, rule 3 is what will be concerned with the valuation. Very interesting case law. CIT versus Rani Shankar Mishra, Delhi High Court. Now you see the amount, portion which I have darkened. 2009 into bracket 178 taxman 324 Delhi. What it means is ki 2009 is the year in which this judgment was pronounced by this was reported by taxman in its journal or in its magazine. In the year 2009, taxman reported this judgment, CIT versus Rani Shankar Mishra, which was pronounced by the Delhi High Court. 178 is the book number. Taxman is the name of the magazine or the journal which publishes, in which it is published. 178 is the book number, volume number, and 324 is the page number of taxman. This is how you read. 2000 is the year of publication of the judgment. Please understand, this judgment may have been pronounced in 2009, it may have been pronounced in 2008, 2007, whenever. But they have reported it in 2009. They will give you the dates of judgment and so on. So 178 is the volume, taxman is the book, 324 is the page. Delhi represents Delhi High Court. CIT versus Rani Shankar Mishra also is important. What it means is when CIT appears first versus Rani Shankar Mishra, what it means is the CIT, Commissioner of Income Tax, has gone to the Delhi High Court against the order passed by tribunal in favor of Rani Shankar Mishra. The order of the tribunal was in favor of Rani Shankar Mishra. It was against the department, Income Tax Department. So, Income Tax Department through the CIT, Commissioner Income Tax, files an appeal against the favorable order, assessee favorable order of the tribunal, the lower authority. So, CIT goes to the Delhi High Court and files an appeal against the order of Rani Shankar Mishra. Therefore, it is CIT versus Rani Shankar Mishra. If it were Rani Shankar Mishra versus CIT, it would mean Rani Shankar Mishra has gone to the Delhi High Court against the order of lower authority, the tribunal. That's how you understand, that's how you read. CIT versus Rani Shankar Mishra means CIT has gone to the Delhi High Court against the order which was in favor of Rani Shankar Mishra. 2009 has been reported, the year in which Taxman has reported, volume number 178, page number 324. A very interesting judgment. I am giving this to you because it may have a lot of practical utility, especially for girls. Rani Shankar Mishra, an IT professional, got years back when IT industry was booming. She graduated from one of the institutes, from one of the engineering colleges, and then she applied for a job in the US. Interesting, the facts are very interesting. Girls should take a special note for this. So she applied. Having applied for a job in a US company, interviews were conducted online. 2006-07, the interviews were conducted online. So madam had appeared for interview, and then after a few days she didn't hear anything from them. So she had already searched for a job in India and got a job in India. So everybody forgets. You also may appear for an interview. If there is no favorable call from them, you will forget about it. You will start something else. This is what this madam was doing. One fine day, madam receives a call from US company stating that several candidates were interviewed for this post, and there were many candidates of those appearing in the interview who were ultimately found suitable for the job and could have been employed. But it ultimately turned out that that company which had interviewed girls also and boys also for that post did not employ any girl, though the lady who was interviewed was capable and otherwise qualified. So you are aware that America is a very, very litigative society. They file a lot of court petitions. So by way of a class action suit, affected females, they got together and filed a case against the company that no reasons were propounded for denying jobs to them, and then it was ultimately known that they were also capable. They had cleared the interview, but then they were denied the job only because they wanted to employ males, boys. So the courts there were very, very balanced, reasonable in their judgment. They said, okay, now for the later employments, you call those girls, to call those females who were otherwise found capable in the earlier interview. Whenever you have a vacancy now, you call them. So that's how that company tells this lady, Rani Shankar Mishra, in case you are interested in a job, we are willing to give you a job in US. That was years back. She had forgotten. She had got married, settled in India. So she said, no, I don't want to take up a job now. Thank you very much. So then she was told, okay, the court has stated that those who were otherwise capable and who were denied the assignment or the job merely because of their not being a male, because of their being a female, discrimination was made against the females. No employment was given to them. So the court had ordered payment of compensation to the females in case they don't take up a job now. The company was required to pay compensation to them. So this lady was told, okay, if you are not willing to take up a job now, we are offering you a job in US, but if you don't want to take up a job, by virtue of the court order, we are inclined to give you a compensation. She got a huge sum. So the moral of the story is, whenever there is a US company putting up an advertisement, girls should always apply. Maybe someday you will be rewarded like Rani Shankar Mishra. So she got a huge sum. I don't remember the amount now. About 1 crore of rupees as compensation, in terms of translating into terms of Indian rupees, as compensation. Now the issue is, the department said this should be brought to tax in her hands as salary. Now please understand. Go to the basics. 1 crore rupees that she got, department, she didn't pay any tax on that, saying that this is a capital receipt, compensation, and therefore it is not chargeable to tax. Salary doesn't include compensation. If you see salary, the inclusions in salary doesn't include any compensation at all. I will discuss a little later a similar issue. So she didn't pay any tax on that. Department said this is chargeable to tax under the head salary as profits in lieu of salary. I will explain profits in lieu of salary to you. Profits in lieu, instead of profits in lieu of salary, instead of the monthly salary, you are getting certain profits. This is what they said. If you were to take up a job, you would have been paid salary, but you are not taking up a job. So instead of the salary which you would have got in job, monthly salary, you are getting a compensation, you are getting a profit. So that is a part of salary, so you have to pay tax on it. Delhi High Court said no. Delhi High Court said that cannot be the case. Profits and compensation are not equitable. So the moral of the story is, girls should always apply for a job in US company, appear for an interview, and then you will see. Let me discuss another issue relating to this as well. So that was not brought to tax in the hands of the assessee Rani Shankar Mishra as salary. She was not required to pay tax on that because it was compensation. Now please read these two issues very carefully. I have highlighted section 56 to 11 and section 17.3, profits in lieu of salary. They are similarly worded. If you read them, to save time I am not reading, I am only seeking to make you understand. Any compensation, I am trying to explain to you 17.3, profits in lieu of salary. This is what the department argued in case of Rani Shankar Mishra. It was compensation, not profits in lieu of salary. A typical case of profits in lieu of salary would be a typical case of, let us say, a union leader. He has created a lot of difficulties for the management. He has become a headache for the management. The management he is instigating people, asking people to go on strike, reduced production, and so on. So the management wants to terminate him, remove him. But then the problem is, if he is terminated, he will be deprived of his various amount which he would have otherwise got. And termination again is never in the right spirit. It creates a source of litigation against the company by this person. So the company doesn't want that. The company will maybe call him, tell him, okay, you are agitating, Either you resign and go, we will give you a compensation, we will give you a package. Whatever is due to you by way of gratuity, leave encashment, anything that is due, PF, VF, whatever is due to you, we will give you. But it will give you an additional amount towards the loss of your employment if you are resigning. Please understand, the headache, the pressures, the tension which the company would have otherwise suffered by his presence, the company wants to get away with that, and it is giving him a compensation, giving him an amount which will be over and above his other service dues. Gratuity, PF, Provident Fund, leave encashment are his service dues. Apart from that, the company gives him an amount. Now you understand section 17(3). The amount of any compensation due to or received by an assessee from his employer, that is important, because in 56(2)(11) this is not present. From his employer is not present. From his employer, I am on 17(3). If you receive an amount from your employer which is in the nature of compensation, or a former employer or former employer, and it is in the nature of compensation, at or in connection with termination of his employment, this is very important, at or in connection with termination of his employment. Same words practically, if not all, you have similar words in 56(2)(11) also. You can see that 56(2)(11) also refers to similar words, which I will compare and discuss. I am still on 17(3). Amount of compensation due to or received by an assessee from his employer. From his employer, that is important. You have to be an employee, only then you will have an employer. From his employer or former employer, at or in connection with the termination. At the termination or in connection with termination, there are two different things. In law, each word has to be given its due credence. You cannot ignore a word. You cannot ignore a word. You cannot ignore an expression appearing in the section. What does it say? At or in connection with the termination of his employment. So if I have to read it separately, it will mean at the termination of his employment or in connection with termination of his employment. There are two different terms, two different issues. At the termination of his employment or in connection with the termination of his employment. That is extremely important. Please don't ignore a single word, even a comma. Forget a word. Even a grammatical connotation, comma, cannot be ignored. Very, very important. You will see in connection with termination of his employment appear in 56(2)(11) also, but at is not present there. See the wording. See how the legislation has drafted it. Similar clauses. 17(3) has an addition, at or in connection with, at the termination of his employment, on the termination of his employment. At would mean on the termination of his employment or in connection with the termination of his employment, or modification of terms and conditions relating thereto. So when you receive an amount of this nature, which meets this nature, compensation, it should be a compensation which should be due or received by an assessee from his employer. Now when you receive it from his employer, matlab you are an employee. You are an employee, which is absent in 56(2)(11). Please understand, employer-employee nexus is absent in 56(2)(11). It is present very vehemently, vocally and clearly in 17(3), dealing with profits in lieu of salary. That is present there. So it says, see the comparison. Please see the comparison. Similar words, but heads are different. 56(2)(11) is other source. 17(3) is salary. Issue is the same. Basis of 17(3) is salaried employment. That is important, which is absent in 56 to 11. There is no necessity of employer-employee nexus generating this kind of a sum. Please understand, 17.3 deals with employer-employee relationship, salary, employer-employee. You cannot forget the basic of including an income under the head salary, that of existence of employer-employee nexus. Absence of employer-employee nexus does not partake the character of salary. An amount received in the absence of employer-employee nexus does not mean it is salary. Simple as that. But here you are receiving a compensation from his former employer at the termination of his employment or in connection with the termination of the employment or modification of the terms and conditions relating thereto, relating to employment. Thereto would be in employment. If you receive an amount that would qualify to be profits in lieu of salary, chargeable under 17.3. Go back to Rani Shankar Mishra. Was there an employment? Was it received by her from her employer? The company may have been a prospective employer, not an employer. Had that madam started working with the company, that company may have been prospective employer, but it was not an employer when the amount was received. So you are getting it. So it was received by her, not from the employer. So if it is not from the employment, it cannot be brought under 17.3. Employer-employee nexus absent, no component of the amount received qualifies to be salary. I hope you are getting it. Employment is absent in Rani Shankar Mishra, so therefore there was no salary. So coming back to 17.3, if you receive a compensation, amount of any compensation, the word used is any. It doesn't define compensation, it says any compensation. The nomenclature is important. The nature of the payment is important. Amount of any, when the word any is appearing, you cannot ignore a word. Please understand, this is income tax. Any compensation due to or received by an assessee from his employer, that is important. Employer-employee nexus assumes importance. If an amount is to be brought to tax under section 17.3 as profits in lieu of salary, it has to be received from the employer. Earlier employer, former employer, or present employer is sufficient. Employment is important. Employer-employee nexus is important. You receiving from former employer, you receiving from present employer is of no consequence. If it is received from an employer, it is 17.3, profits in lieu of salary. In connection with termination or at termination of employment or modification of the terms and conditions thereto is chargeable to tax under the head salary. See 56 to 11 and then think about the taxability of the amount received by Rani Shankar Mishra under 56 to 11. 56 to 11 has been introduced only from assessment year 1920, last assessment year. Let me introduce this to you. Any compensation, and here they have added or other payment, meaning it may not be compensation also. Firstly, they have added the word any with compensation. So they have magnified the scope of compensation when they have said any compensation. Then they say or other payment, which may not be in the nature of compensation. That payment may take any characteristic. It may assume any nature. Due to or received by any person. Try to understand. By any person. Here they are not referring to from an employer. Here they are not. Here there from employer essentially meant received by an employee. Here by any person. Any person, may not be an employee, may not be from employer, received by any person, by whatever name called. When they say whatever name called, it doesn't mean your name, it means the compensation or other payment. You call it by any name. You have to be very careful. This is income tax. By received by any person by whatever name called. It is not referring to Sharma or Verma or whosoever he be. They are not referring to the person's name by whatever name called. They are referring to name called as compensation or other payment. Call compensation or other payment by any name. Please understand it very carefully. Any person receive an amount and call it by any name, but if it is in the nature of payment, other payment or compensation. And what is the nature? In connection with the termination of his employment. Please understand, here they are not relating employer-employee nexus. Employment doesn't mean employer-employee relationship. Even a client professional engagement is an employment of the professional. Self-employment is also an employment. You are a lawyer practicing, you render services to the client, so you are employed by the client, not in the nature of employer-employee, not in the nature of salary, but client professional. Self-employment is also an employment. So here they are not saying from employer. But when they are saying employment, please do not restrict employment only to employer-employee. Self-employment is equally an employment, or the modification, the terms and conditions relating thereto. So the crux is any compensation or other payment by whatever name called, due to or received by any person. He may not be an employee. The amount that you receive from a person may not be your employer. In connection with the termination of his employment. Employment has been terminated. It may not mean employer-employee wala employment, salary wala employment. It may mean employment which is also self-employment in nature. Now connect this with Rani Shankar Mishra. Now do you think that the amount which she has received, it was Delhi High Court said it is not profits in lieu of salary. Now please understand, Delhi High Court will not tell the department, okay, it is not salary, take it in another source. No, it will not do that. So the department has brought out a change, the finance ministry has brought out a change in the law. 56/11, they made the change. They say, they have said this. So now you will appreciate that the amount received by her is not under any employer-employee nexus. It is in connection with the termination of his employment or the modification, the terms and conditions thereto. And it is not received from an employer. It is not expected to be received from an employer in case of 56/11. So that amount will be chargeable to tax inherents. Of course, this has come from assessment year 1920. It didn't exist then when she had received the amount. Therefore, this will be effective only from assessment year 1920. Only then the taxability would ensue, not otherwise. In reference to 56/11, I should also tell you there is something known as joining bonus. Please understand, these days, now this joining bonus was a typical trait or the typical situation available in case of these IT professionals, computer professionals. They would be given a joining bonus. What do you mean by joining bonus? They will say, no, you are a very good worker. We have seen you work in companies. So now, before you join our company, we will give you a bonus of rupees 5 lakhs. Leke ja, 5 lakh rupees. And that you are still not an employee. It will not be salary because you are not an employee. You will receive the amount first. The company will tell you, dekho, ye 5 lakh rupees, this is, I am transferring to your account. Now, tomorrow on, you will be our employee. So this bonus, joining bonus, will fall under 56/11. 11. It will be brought to tax in the hands of the person recipient as not salary, because you are not an employee, as compensation falling under 56 to 11. Government hai, it will not leave you that soon, that easily. Thank you very much. We will stop here.